5 tips on how to get the best psychic reading ever. So, you've decided to go to a psychic. Maybe you are just curious. Maybe that's like your last resort, or like you've tried everything else, and one thing you haven't tried is you haven't gotten um, answers, that psychic insight. You haven't gotten that psychic insight into your situation of concern. Or maybe your friend or colleague went to a psychic and had this super great experience and you just want to try it out. Or for some other reason, you've decided to go to a psychic. Then now, how to have a really good psychic experience. Tip number 1. Keep in mind and remember, just because someone is psychic or claim to be psychic doesn't mean it's the right psychic for you. It doesn't mean they are a bad psychic, but like with everything, you know, um, it's important if you connect with that person, if you feel the connection, if you feel drawn to this person, it's important that you connect with the way they deliver their messages, or even such a thing as tone of the voice or the accent. Maybe you can't stand the accent. Maybe you love the accent. Um, Whatever it is, it's important that you do feel some kind of connection with this person. Also, different psychics, depending on what they are more focused on, what their specialty is, what tools they use, where they are at personally in their lives. It all affects their work in one way or another. And that connection between you and a psychic must be felt also, because it will be the indication that you are somewhat in a similar energy, on a similar energy wavelength with each other, and it will help to have this stronger connection and therefore a better psychic reading. And like I was saying at the very beginning, if you are not on that same wavelength, it doesn't mean that the psychic is bad psychic. However, not however, but if your friend went to a psychic and had this amazing experience, and you go to this very same psychic and you don't really feel that it was a great experience, it could be simply because it's just a different energy, different vibe, different, like you are not on the same wavelengths. As simple as that. So the tip number 2 is be clear for yourself. What is it that you want to find out from the psychic reading, from the psychic? What are the questions you have, or what is your situation of concern? What kind of information you are looking for? And here, what I mean by that is there are different aspects of psychic work, and different psychics use different tools. And different psychics also are ex- experts, more tuned into. When I say experts, I mean more tuned into so different aspects, different aspects of life. And what I mean by that is Some psychics might be strictly um, giving a relationship readings, and they are so tuned into it. They are um, really have sort of perfected their work in that area, and they have a lot of experience, most likely. As they think about, like, if you go to a doctor, for example, you know all doctors have some basic knowledge of medicine, right? But each doctor is more knowledgeable in one or few aspects, and they know it really, really well. Does it mean they are a bad doctor because they don't know these other aspects? No. And if you have something specific um, uh, happening with you health wise, you would like to go to someone who is an expert in that area, not just general doctor, right? Because you would get the better help from an expert that is expert in that particular area that is of your concern. And the same is with psychic. Any psychic can do any kind of reading about any kind of topic. But if you have a specific type of situation of concern, relationship, or maybe health, maybe it's finances and career, um, you would like to go and find a psychic who is specializing in this topic and who's going to be an expert in this topic. Also, different psychics I mentioned use different tools. Some go by just their psychic abilities, intuition, gut feeling, whatever you may want to call it. All falls in the same category. Some use cards. There are different types of cards. There are oracle cards, there are tarot cards. Those are two different things. They might be cards, but they have a different vibe, different um, energy to them, and then psychics uh, might use astrology as their tool. They might use pendulums, they might use crystals, they might use a crystal ball. Everybody has their own thing, and it is important that you do connect with whatever their tool is that they use. So look, get clear. To sum this tip up, look first, get clear what is it that you want your psychic reading be about, what's your topic of concern, and then look for a psychic that specializes in that. And you can even ask if psychics hasn't provided that information, what their specialty is. You can contact them and ask what is their specialty, what what are they really good at, when it comes to the topics, and then make sure you are comfortable with whatever tools they use. And again, if they don't mention it, you can always ask and find out. Now, the tip number three is, once you are clear what your question of concern is, or questions of concern, or your theme of concern is, and you are also aware of the fact that it's important for you to have that connection with the psychic you are going to go to, and also you are aware of the fact that there are different types of psychics and different psychics specialize in different aspects of um, life and use different tools. Now you do the research. Do the research, look around for the psychic that you feel connected with. And here it's important to remember that psychics work with the energy. And for working with the energy, it's not necessary to do the reading in person. Again, if that's your preference, that you would like to have this reading done in person, that's cool. But for the psychic reading quality purpose, it does not have to be a reading in person. It can be in person, it can be in a distance reading, and these days with technology, there are a lot of ways how to do it. Audio, phone, video calls on the phone, different apps for it. You can use a computer for it. So there are different ways to connect. Just remember, do not limit yourself to just somebody in person. And when I say do some research, also these days with the technology, what's happening, and all, like, there's so many psychics out there. Psych- there's so many psychics out there. Um, Many psychics have websites. They have some kind of online presence, website, or they are on social media. There are different social media platforms where you can look for them. You can go to some social media platforms, communities, to ask for suggestions, maybe for a psychic reading, for a psychic. See what people get, some ideas who people go to or have found to be good, but just for a suggestion, like just to start you to for you to be able to look deeper and research. Many have radio shows, online radio shows, where you can listen to the replay, to in archives. Many do readings on the air. You can even call in and can get like a quick mini reading from the psychic that you maybe feel drawn to, and then you'll see and experience if that works or not for you, if you click with this person or not. Um, you can check out YouTube. There are many who have YouTube channels, videos. Maybe they've been interviewed. Yeah, here's another thing. If they don't have, or even if they have, some kind of channel, video, or radio, or audio, or podcasts, or so, there are psychics who have been interviewed on some shows. You can find out more about the person that way. And yeah, so do some research, look at some bulletin boards, if you are looking for something locally. And the opportunities and options are endless for finding a psychic. So, yeah, this is tip number 3. Do the research with all the knowledge you have so far. Now, the tip number 4. 4, 4, 4, 4. Tip number 4 is, now once you are at the psychic and you're having this reading, whether in person or a distance reading, and this is your very first time, I am talking about, like, the first time you're meeting, being with this psychic, not with someone who you've look already is already approved by you as a great psychic or right one for you. Um, once the reading is happening, um, I would suggest be skeptical, but healthy skeptical. And what I mean by that is, mm, don't tell in detail your everything about your situation right up front. Give some questions, some ideas, something like, um to for a psychic to, like, the direction, but don't tell every detail. And then, see what comes up, what psychic picks up. And when it's the right psychic for you, when there is that connection, then the psychic is going to pick up um, something from that situation of your concern, and oftentimes without you even saying anything at all. Um, so it really depends from the situation, but at least have something as a starter to give. Um, you'll see if they pick up that situation correctly or not. Don't discard at the beginning, like, don't discard what they say if it's not necessarily what you want to hear or what you expected to hear. Give them a chance. Give them a chance. And give the psychic the chance. And like I said, I mean, it's not something can tell this is how the reading is going to go. Every reading is different, and there are so many different experiences, but you will know, you will feel if there is that, if you have really that connection with the psychic, and if the psychic has the connection with your situation of concern. There will be something they're gonna tell and say that you haven't told them, and that's why I'm saying don't tell everything right up front. That they're gonna pick up, and something that, well, once they tell you something that is correct about the situation, and especially if it's something specific, and then the more of that happens, the more confirmation it is that this person has connected with your situation of concern, and then you can go deeper. Don't give it like too much of a time. That's what I mean by healthy skepticism. Like, don't give it, don't be all this skeptical and testy the whole time. And I don't mean this skepticism to be kind of like the test, but just kind of in a healthy way. Like, if we don't know the person, we want to feel comfortable. We wanna feel safe. We wanna feel like, yes, it's right. And that's what I mean by it. Like, give it a few minutes, give it at the beginning that time to feel and see that connection, and then you can go deeper. And um, there is another side of the reading, like, the more specific answers and insights you would like to receive, the more specific questions you can give the psychic. Again, doesn't mean you need to give like the situation in detail, but the more specific your questions will be, the more specific answers you are going to get to your questions. So there's kind of like this balance, but it's there's not one formula to tell exactly how it's gonna happen. So I'm giving you this idea what to do during the reading. So yeah, that's tip number 3. And tip number 5: make sure you record the reading. Recording these days, again, with the technology, possibilities, um, should be no problem. You can ask the psychic to, if they give this option and offer it. They usually have some options on how to do it, and technology for that or a program for that. You can do it on the phone, on your phone. Prepare it, get it ready, and usually psychics don't really have problem with recording. I mean, I've let people record readings. I think it's actually important to do this recording, because what happens is, first, when you are in that moment and you are talking, you don't want to be worrying about like writing down, especially if it's like an hour session, for example, of hour reading. You don't want to be like worrying about writing down, and if you're writing it correctly, and then some time goes by during that session, you're just spending it writing it down, and then you just want to listen, just relax and listen, and know that you will be able to listen to it again. Also, sometimes during the reading, something may not make sense in that reading, what the psychic says. May, but when you listen to it again, home, next day, week later, something might have happened in your life that you realize that, oh, that's what it was. That's what the psychic was talking about. Now I get it. So recording is important. So record the session, and it's going to help you tremendously to get really the best out of your psychic reading. So that was it. Five tips on how to get the best psychic reading ever. This does not necessarily mean that these are the only tips, the only things to consider for getting a good psychic reading, but these are one of the 5 top tips for getting and having a good psychic reading. So yeah, here you have it. Let me know what you think. Let me know what your experience is, or if you have any questions. So comment below, and share if you find this helpful with someone who you think would also find this helpful. Like it, and I'll see you in the next video.